Coming to you live from the Business Radio X studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by IDS, an award-winning digital marketing agency that delivers integrated marketing solutions for franchisors, franchisees, and franchise development teams. Learn why over 75 brands depend on IDS's team of dedicated marketers and client service professionals to deliver a strong ROI on their marketing investment. Go to idsfranchisemarketing.com for a complimentary digital audit and consultation.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio. I'm your host, Rob Ganley. It's good to have everybody. And I'm really excited to talk to our guest today. Lots of interesting things to dig into with his brand and a really cool story behind a lot of it. So I want to dig in and welcome Jerry Flanagan. He is the CEO and founder of JDog Brands. Welcome, Jerry.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. So tell us a little bit about JDog, right? JDog Brands. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of that, a little bit about your history and how that came to be.
Of course. So JDog Brands is the largest military veteran franchise in the world, nearly 300 locations. The idea behind JDog Brands is if you put a military veteran or an immediate military family member into a business ownership opportunity, they're going to hire their brothers and sisters. They're going to help other veterans get jobs and opportunities, which a lot of them need. Get the unemployment rate for veterans to under 1% is our goal, and really work on helping our veteran community get through the mental health and prevent veteran suicide while you're running a business opportunity. The company started almost 12 years ago. My wife and I had come off a very difficult bankruptcy through a retail company we had owned. The economy crashed and took that business down with it, along with a lot of other businesses. I'm sure a lot of listeners experienced the 2008, crisis. But what came out of those ashes basically was the idea that I needed a job. I don't have a degree and I had a military background. So my work ethic was there, but I just couldn't get a job, couldn't find someone to hire me. So I was researching on the internet and I found junk removal as a recession-proof business. And I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to haul junk in my neighborhood and make sure the junk gets disposed of properly and treat my neighbors with respect, integrity, trust, and try to find a real job while I do that. And that was in 2011. And, we didn't have any money because we were bankrupt. I had a Jeep and we had gotten a trailer, and that's how the company started. Once the consumer found out that I was a military veteran, because, I got the clean, tight haircut always, and I showed up 15 minutes early on the job. And I said, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, to the husband and wife team at the job. They said, oh, boy, where'd you serve? And I was like, I haven't served for a long time, but I did serve in the Army. And I also served in the National Guard. And they said, well, you should tell everyone about that. And I said, why would I do that? Why does junk removal have anything to do with the military background? And they said, they're going to want to hire you. The American people want to give back to our military somehow. And if they know you're a military veteran, they're going to use your services, providing you're, showing up on time and you're clean cut and doing a good job. So I came home and I said, Trace, we are now the veteran-owned and operated junk removal company in our community. So we're changing everything. And thus, that's where we created our dog, our bulldog, which came from the Fort Stewart base that I had served on, Rocky the Bulldog. We created the dog, we created the logo. And before you know it, the phones were blowing up. Everybody wanted to use JDog to haul their junk. And so the idea of getting a real job, I threw that to the side and said, I'm going to be busy enough here 7 days a week and just learn how to build this thing. So my wife and I together really built this company side by side. We were into it for about a year, and it was Tracy's idea, my wife. She came to me and said, we need to franchise this thing. You could put other veterans into business ownership. The unemployment rate for combat veterans was at 12%. So it's unacceptable. So why don't you and I together build a franchise system? We'll teach veterans how to own their own business under a structure, under a franchise. You get pretty structured when it comes to franchising. So that's what we did. We franchised the model, and we figured we put an SOP together like you follow in the military. And we became the veteran-owned and operated model, of franchising. We added military family members immediate because a lot of parents have children, serving over in Afghanistan and Iraq that don't want them to own the business necessarily, but they want to own it and pass it down to them. So we need to have that, military family members permitted to buy as well. So we're 90% veteran owned, 10% family members. And it was insane because we realized, this thing was growing so fast. I needed infrastructure. I needed investors. If I was going to make this thing a massive model, a real national brand, I needed money. So in 2014, we partnered up with a small private equity firm here called Julep Run Capital. They raised a little bit over $1 million for us. Tracy and I kept control of the company, which is very rare when it comes to the those arrangements. And Tracy and I have been at the helm ever since. We were in the office. She's right next to me. We're here every single day. We live and breathe JDog. In 2019, we added carpet cleaning and floor care to the model. Because we were growing so fast with the junk that, before in the next 10 years, there's not going to be a zip code available nationwide. We're going to have a JDog junk removal everywhere. So we added carpet cleaning so you could have another brother or sister that served in the military open up a similar business, but now it's carpet cleaning and floor care under one brand. So what happens is, let me give you an example. You go to the customer's home. The first thing they do is go, "Oh my God, JDog's here. Thank you for your military service." That's what they do. That's the first thing they say to you before you start this contracting job. So the relationship with the customer is like unbelievable right from the get-go. You're not going to rip them off. They trust that you're going to do the right thing. You treat them with respect, and they'll use you over and over again. And then go, by the way, if you have a carpet cleaning service, I would use you. If you were a painter, I would use you. If you changed oil, I would use you. I mean, they just want JDog in their life, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can attest to two things. I could attest to almost every word you said, but two really interesting things. One is you were very early today. And I said to myself, that's a military guy, right? It's like, if you're on time, you're late, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, and then the other thing was I live in Colorado Springs, and I don't buy anything from anybody here that doesn't say, "Are you in the military?" Because we have so many bases and
sure.
And it's like, and every time it's like a part of me says, "Man, I really wish I could get that discount," right? But I'm like, darn, they deserve a hell of a lot more than that, right? Like they should give them. So that's my feeling, right? Like I'm so glad that that's the minimum, right? That we all should be doing is just giving every veteran a discount. But anyway, I hear you there. I think everybody does love, and we are talking about marketing, right? And the way you came into it's such a beautiful story. I love the stories where you said out of the ashes, right? And that rebirth, I think when our backs are against the wall, and even during COVID, we saw a lot of that. And I'm sure you guys innovated through that as well. You had to deal with whatever you had to deal with. But you innovate, and when you have nothing left to do and you boil it down to simplicity, look what can happen. And it's an interesting dynamic when you're in that position that your mind works that way. But so then it flows into this wonderful idea, right? You start to see how people appreciate what you guys are, right? Military veterans, Army veterans, and you start to, but that is marketing, right? And so now you have this word of mouth marketing engine, and you've realized people love this. And I love the name. Right. So tell us a little bit about the Bulldog. You told us about the Bulldog, right? Where it came from. It's a cool name, but tell us about JDog real quick. How did that come about?
Yeah. So JDog was my nickname in the Army. I was a wire dog. So I laid wire, and Jerry, my first name with a J. So I played basketball with the guys, and it just flowed. JDog, So I kind of tucked that nickname away after I got out of the military. Like, a lot of times guys like me, they get out of the military after 4 years. You take the military service, you stick it in a box. You don't talk about it. You don't really do anything with it. I used a little bit of the GI Bill for college, but I only lasted 5 months there. So really never thought about it again. But I had the name JDog. So when junk removal came up as the concept, I was like, that's a no-brainer. My nickname's JDog. It sounds cool. So there was really no mad scientist behind it other than that I had a nickname JDog, and it really went with junk removal. I guess if I started a painting business, I don't know if I would have said JDog painting. I probably would have come up with something else. So it came up pretty cool that JDog emerged. And what happens is in our markets, in our communities, We have these massive trucks that run around with camouflage. They have a big bulldog with dog tags on them. And the customers want to take pictures of their families in front of the trucks. And they want to share it on Facebook with their friends. It's a marketing machine. And I try to explain to franchisees that come in, we're not just a service-based business. We're a marketing company. This is all about a marketing play. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the goal of any franchisor and franchisee is to gain customers. That's it. Without customers, there's no model. So how do you get customers? Get the American people to feel really good about themselves by not handing out a check to a wounded warrior or another. How about handing up? Give us a hand up and say, you have an opportunity to do a job. Be competitive. We're not going to give you 20 times more because you served the country. We're not asking for that. All we're saying is give us an opportunity to compete for the job. And more than likely, the American people are choosing us.
Yeah. And I think there's, and I know it came about in a unique way. And I love that story, but I think there's a lot to be learned there. If you can create a memorable, almost a cartoon character, right? And have, something memorable tied to you personally, tied to the military, which we all are passionate about here in America, most of us. That's brilliant. Now, can you always do that? No, you live that. That's why you have that's what makes it so special, right? And then your mission behind all this is so special. And I don't always hear this when I talk to brands, but I think anytime you're in the early phases of a brand development or launching a franchise, these are good things to think about. You could have said, JDog now, and it does go with junk haul, tough dog, bulldog kind of thing. Yeah. But you thought that through, and that's the point, right? Maybe there's something else. Maybe if you did start painting, it would have been something else tied to the military. I don't know. But great work. And so I was, the next question I really wanted to ask, and you're kind of answering it, right? But so you've been growing leaps and bounds. You're doing more than a deal a week. You're probably going to keep growing at a faster rate. The reason that happens, I know as a consultant in the industry, that happens when folks are successful, right? That happens when franchisees come into a system, they're able to get started, smoothly. I mean, it's always difficult to launch any business, but they can get through that experience well, get started quickly, start to be in a position to earn cash flow, right? And then get to a place of profitability in a reasonable expected time frame, right? So this must be happening for you guys regularly, because the way that more folks want to come behind it is, hey, it's working. So the question is, what are those important marketing ingredients, right? What are those? And maybe how does it work? What are you doing with technology, right? Is there a tie-in? Okay. But what is that ingredient that gets your franchisees on board, launched, and into profitability? What do you think the main marketing ingredients are for you guys in that first year or so?
Well, you want to start out with what happens if websites shut down, the world kind of takes a backseat to, everything you're doing every day. Can you still run your business? This is the way Tracy and I started, because we didn't have a website. We didn't have an 844 number when we started. We had an index card that said 7 days a week, Army supervised, we haul junk, we're your neighbor, support us. We stuck in the pizza place. We stuck it in the doctor's office, dry cleaner. We stuck it everywhere. And the phone would ring. And they were like, hey, JDog, I got your card here. You haul junk, I have a hot tub. I'm saying, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I'll give you a quote. I mean, that's how it started. You answer the phone from morning to night, 7 days a week. You don't turn down a job. I don't care what's going on. You got to put the business first. Love my family, love my daughters when we're building this. They're both adults now. But they knew that if I'm watching a sport or if I'm doing, and that phone rings, I'm like Batman, got to go, kids. I'll be back. It's the way it is, man. When you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to build a business, you don't get a paycheck unless you go out there and create the sale. So, I kind of turn that into the franchisees that come through. You're not buying a job here. You got to work. We'll have a system in place for you, but we have so much technology now we've added to our system on top of the guerrilla marketing. First of all, you're driving a billboard. As soon as you walk the driveway with one of our trucks, you have a billboard driving around your community that's got everything on there that can create a job for you. I used to park at Home Depot when I was waiting in between jobs. I'd sit right up there where they have the hot dog stand right out by the entrance where the contractors are.
Yeah.
I'd pull up there, open my truck up the back of the trailer. I'd sit there and pretend I'm waiting to load something. And people would walk by and go, "What's this JDog thing?" Military. "Oh, thank you for your service. I served too," or "My dad served." We start chit-chatting. Great. Well, you're at Home Depot. Do you have junk you need hauled away while you're replacing your dishwasher? You're doing yard work? I'll follow you to your house, like right now. And let's go clean out your house. That's what I did. That was the beginning. And I could do 3 to 5 jobs in a day by just sitting in a Home Depot parking lot. I didn't need a website. I didn't need Google search. I didn't need Facebook marketing, even though we have all that now. But in the beginning, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to make money to feed your family. Simple.
Well, and I'll tell you, oftentimes I'm a techie guy. I love technology, but I'm also old enough. I started in the early 90s and I started in sales and marketing. So I did it old school and I do it new school. And oftentimes it's that simple stuff that you just aren't doing. You just do that first. Do the stuff like just drive the truck around, go places where folks might be in need of what you do. And
put a lawn sign down in someone's yard, a lawn sign in the yard, a lawn sign at the busiest mall. Chick-fil-A, a great place to break down with your truck is at the drive-thru at a Chick-fil-A. What a great place to break down your truck. You pull over, you sit there, and you're waiting for, AAA to get there. I'm just kidding, by the way.
Yeah, right.
If you've got some downtime, go get a Chick-fil-A sandwich and sit in their parking lot for an hour and eat your sandwich. You'll book 4 jobs while you're sitting there. Because what are people doing? They're sitting in the drive-thru staring at this incredible military truck, and they'll go on the website and they'll go, "This is cool." So it's an over-the-top brand.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. God bless you. You deserve it. I'm glad that because I want to buy one. I know, obviously, right? I do that every time I interview you guys. I get so excited about your models because they're always usually really, really cool. But honestly though, that is almost like a ticket, and you deserve that ticket. You deserve that ticket. You should be able to show up somewhere and say, "I'm here," and people walk up and say, "I'd love to give you business." I love that. And that is such a great, and like you said, with the marketing, it's so very low cost. The truck isn't, but obviously though, it lasts a long time. Yeah. And what a great model. So,
and on top of this, by the way, the way we work is we have charities we work with. We donate. We try to find homes for all these items. Someone's trash is our treasure. We grab it, we take it, and that takes you right to the television series. The television series Tactical Treasures, Operation Hidden Treasures, is all about us cleaning out homes and donating them to people that need it. And that is what we do as a responsible junk removal company. Probably compared to a lot of those junk guys who pick it up and take it right to the landfill. We avoid all that. We recycle, repurpose, resell items. We donate. That's what we try to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very impactful. Tell us more about the show. In my understanding, in talking to you briefly and just reading a little bit, it's a show that's on demand, as well as you'll tell me the channels. Yeah. I think you've done one series or one season. Yep. You're coming back and getting ready for a second. Tell me, it's like a reality show. Tell us a little more about the show itself, and how does that tie in to what you're doing here with the brand? And I guess it does help bring a lot of awareness around the opportunity as well. But tell us more. It's real exciting.
Yeah. So we were on the Discovery Channel last year at 8:00 on Sunday mornings. And basically what the show does, it really shows what JDog does as a junk removal company. We have a relationship with our customers. They typically had someone in their family that served. They have items that grandpa kept after World War II or Korea, that they want to see those items get to a good home or be reused or repurposed. So the story of these junk removal jobs are all about picking up an old boat that's damaged, fixing it, and donating it to a war veteran that has a son that wants to fish. You'll watch all these shows and these stories happening throughout the television series. It's like American Pickers meets Storage Wars meets Pawn Stars, all wrapped up in one. But it feels good because there's veterans that have been struggling with drugs and alcohol or whatever, and they're trying to get back on their feet and they want to get apartment furnished. But we come in with hey, here's a couch, here's a TV, here's this, just something. We want to take the items out of someone's home or someone's business and get them somewhere else. And it's a beautiful recycling way we do things with the items, and the television show captures that. It's a really cool series.
Oh my goodness. I mean, there's so much material, I don't know, wealth. We have so much, right? And so much of us, we have stuff in our homes that are, to someone else would be a treasure, a complete, you know what I mean? And it's really getting that to move around, like just, let's move that from here to, and businesses too. You guys work with businesses and that they have quality stuff that sometimes you're just refreshing their brand or something. It's good stuff. But really, it's amazing that you've got all these ways of helping veterans, right? You're not just helping the guys ready to get into business, people getting jobs, people that are, in bad situations. Man, you're hitting it from every angle. So the show, tell me a little bit, does that affect franchise development? Are you getting like inbound leads because of it from?
Yeah, we sold a franchise from it. Yep. One of our guys saw the show, never heard of JDog before, watched it, got hooked, applied for a franchise, and we sold one. More importantly, customers are watching this saying, do I have a JDog in my area? So we had over 1 million viewers to the show. So they're going to look up JDog and hire because they want to be part of the show. Hiring people like, I saw what you guys are doing. I'd like to, work on a truck, I'm in between jobs or whatever it is. So the show over time to me is going to be something where it's going to reach millions and millions of people, and it's going to help our sales and franchises. It's going to help our brand awareness. It's going to help out hiring more veterans. It's going to just help out in general.
You're a smart guy, you would think you have a master's degree in marketing. So no, but really, I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
The smartest D student you'll ever meet from high school.
Right. Well, I love that. Let's face it, a lot of really smart people didn't finish high school. And I know that's not normal, but there are some notable people that just were too smart for school. But anyway, so before we wrap things up, and we've talked a lot about your background and the military and what that means as far as character and the way you do things. Everybody you're partnering with, your franchisees, your local owners, their employees, there's really a community here. There's a culture around that community. And you as the leader, is there something that kind of leads you every day? So a principle that you really, that's like the foundation. Is there one thing, or is it just kind of a collection of ideas? Could you share something with the audience that you kind of guide by?
Yeah, of course. My wife and I, we're the luckiest people on the planet because we literally wake up every day knowing that we have a purpose. We're Christians. We have a purpose, a drive. And we know that there's some veteran out there that we can affect. We can help a veteran tomorrow. And, with that in mind, it keeps us going. How much more can we do for JDog to affect another veteran? And they're not ending. I mean, there's 200,000 military get out every year. How many of those people don't know about JDog? How many of those people need an opportunity through JDog? We work with the Reverend Warriors. We work with Grunt Style Foundation. These are really important aspects of the veteran community. So we're able to help with mental health. I said it earlier, mental health is really big with veterans, preventing veteran suicide. It all ties together. It's all one big family. And fortunately for Tracy and I, we know what we need to do. We know what our purpose is here on earth. And this is what we do every day. And it's really something special.
Yeah. Wow. I heard purpose. And purpose is something that it matters to every human being. And if they have that, they can avoid a lot of other problems. So that is amazing. It's been a pleasure having you. Before we wrap the show up today, is there a website you could share with our audience just to let them know? I know JDog's pretty easy to Google, but
simplicity, right? It's JDog.com, JDOG.com. We have everything there from the television series to our own apparel, how to find a job, how to buy a franchise, and just all the good things we're doing at JDog. So I recommend anyone who wants to go on the site and take a look and jump on that newsletter, and we'll send you out stuff that we're doing.
That's excellent. Well, I appreciate having you on the show today, Jerry. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Rob.